Alright, I decided to do this real fast just because I just made the video that I'm uploading about them not doing service and whatnot. Oh, this mouse sucks. Okay, there we go. We got a display capture going on. If you check here, we got the UTMB, Legal and Regulatory Affairs, General Counsel. This is the lady that is the public face, main counsel of their attorney places, blah, 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 blah. You can see her email address right here. It is their official email address. If we actually go into the e-service right now where I am serving, I send a record to HR department just because, and we've got an e-service to her email address with her name. These are actual doctors that were involved right here. Boom. They're not actually important. Texas Board of Pardon and Paroles. We have the two possible versions of her email address. I haven't actually discovered exactly which one it is. I'm pretty sure it's the one without the period, because that's how all the rest of them run, but there are a few that I'm guessing whenever somebody had a similar name, they put a period in, but we're serving it to both of them. So as soon as this is accepted by the courts, it goes to those email addresses. They are e-served a copy of this document from a .gov email address. We got the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. We did the same thing. Those are their general counsels of each one of those departments. So we actually have this document now in here. By the way, this is horribly slow for some reason. I don't know if it's just because lots of people are using it or if it's because of how it processes. But as you can see, they are served copies of this, which means they have copies of things like the petition sitting there, and they're basically getting to work off the court calendar because they are well aware of the lawsuit. They have a copy of the petition. The judicial branch, because if you'll notice, this is the eFile Texas. This is Tyler Text Cloud. It's their new portal compared to their old portal, which actually was the eFile Texas Courts. It's actually part of their stuff right there. If y'all are wondering at any point how I actually found some of these email addresses, I use the extension hunter.io. Even with the free one, you get so many lookups a day, and once you even just see how their names are, you usually can put their name in the little search bar and it'll find it online for you and everything. If it doesn't, you can make guesses like I did with the decimal. But there we are, we've got everything. I'm a pro se filer, I'm filing with a waiver. So now I just do a summary and I hit submit, and they're supposed to send me copies of that document, which I'm just going to forward to those email addresses with tracked emails. I'll also send it to the Travis County Constables, and I'll send it to whatever the Galveston proper constable is. I think it's Precinct 1. If not, they should be able to forward it. If they can't, there's a serious issue with our legal system and our law enforcement not doing things that are requested of them. But once I've done that, it's out of my hands. I've attempted it, number one. They're well informed of it, and if they don't respond, it's a default judgment. Already, they've had a copy of this petition for more than 20 days. Today was a day that they could have said that they were consciously indifferent to this and just rendered a default judgment. But they don't want to. I assume because there's state agencies in there and there's big money and stuff, and they're just going to let them sit back and wait for me to actually pay for a service provider that I cannot afford to pay for. This takes forever. There's no reason to actually have this just sit and wait. I'll upload this video and include it as a little end thing or something. I don't know. I'm still kind of messing with that stuff. But yeah, everybody can see that they are served by the official judicial branch of Texas's e-service thing. Since the Texas Department of Criminal Justice and Board of Pardon and Paroles are part of the judicial branch and they accept e-filing and everything, the other ones by default really should. And I'm probably going to have to file a writ of mandamus on this to ask for default judgment because they've allowed them to get copies of my discoveries, copies of my evidence, all that kind of stuff, and then just let them sit there for 20 days. And so it's not in any way like a fair trial anymore. It's not a fair thing. They're dragging it out. They're causing me undue burden, harm, mental distress just because these agencies don't feel like they actually need to respond to a known lawsuit when they have the case number, the parties involved, the actual court, and my contact information. Even whenever you look at Texas Rules of Procedure, it's either 193 or 194. It actually talks about a certificate of conference, and like we're not supposed to burden the legal system if we can actually resolve it amongst ourselves. But they like to do this crap. You know, they want to drag it out like this. They don't want to talk to me about it because once they do, they're admitting that there's a lawsuit and they have to actually like put some more action into it, especially whenever they've already been sitting on it for more than 20 days. But you always hear about those cases. They drag out, and then it gets really close to the end, and then they finally settle. They're just trying to force people like me out without the ability to see the docket, because I can't actually access most of these court dockets and what's on file. So I'm at a risk constantly if I don't just send stuff in and pay real close attention to actually having a dismissal for me failing to respond to something or something like that. I had one case against PayPal. They sent a thing into the court and didn't send a copy to me. As you can imagine, that could actually lead to those issues very directly. And then another one, the courts kept shooting back her response. Like, they're like, you haven't been served, and they wouldn't accept her response. And the way it ends up looking on my side, because it's one of the few courts where they keep the actual summary of the case available, it actually looks like she was just sending me a copy of it, not filing it with the courts, and letting it go to dismissal because of inactivity. And I made a bad judgment on that and pretty much insulted her, but I did apologize. But there's this whole problem of they can't actually just respond because they want to drag it out, make sure you run out of money, take all the chances that you'll miss stuff and things get dismissed, that you'll get distracted with the busy things of life. But the fact is, they know this case is there, they know this exists, and they should be answering instead of trying to actually inflict harm. It's just bullshit predatory tactics of large corporations that are well aware that they caused harm. And now they're just going to cause as much harm as possible before I can actually even get any kind of relief out of this. And these kind of recordings are going to be the things that make it into my Supreme Court stuff for writ of mandamus on this, because you can establish this. I have emails, I have trackers on the emails, and we're going to show that they were well aware of it and working behind the scenes on purpose. Have a good one.